Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Alina Arsani. I'm Head of Energy Systems at EPG, and I will be the moderator of this panel. I would like to invite the distinguished panelists to take their seats, and I will start with Mrs. Cristina Prună, Vice President of the Industries and Services Committee within the Chamber of Deputies, Romanian Parliament. Mrs. Alina Popa, Chief Financial Officer and Board Member at OMV Petrom. Mrs. Dana Daraban, Executive Director at the Association of Utilities Companies in Romania. And last but not least, Mr. Adrian Dugulan, CEO, Chief Executive Officer at PPC Renewables Romania. Thank you. So just a short overview of this panel. We will focus on the energy sector in Romania because, as you have seen earlier, the main focus of the previous panel was on regional. So we will focus on the past 10 years of the Romanian energy sector. Thank you. I would like to start with Mrs. Cristina Prună, given her experience within 2 mandates as a legislator. And could you please give us a brief overview on the evolution of the energy sector in Romania in the last 10 years, if possible?
First of all, hello everyone. I'm really happy to be here and happy anniversary, EPG.
Thank you.
Your question is indeed very important. Sometimes it's good to have an overview of what happened over a period of time to see how you make decisions looking forward. The Romanian energy mix evolved from relatively balanced, but at the same time polluting mix with coal, gas, petroleum products to relatively more sustainable mix, timidly integrating also renewable energy. But we are still very far from the objectives that we are currently trying to write. So I would say that the transformation was blocked at some point. If we look, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago, at the level of the technical and managerial apparatus of the state in the transformation of the energy sector. And here I'm thinking of the coal companies in the Jiu Valley, for instance, where even some populist politicians got involved, and unfortunately the situation there is not very good right now, but I'm hoping that the other company, the other coal company that we have in Gorj will not have the same destiny, let's say, even though now I see in the media that there are some delays in implementing the restructuring plan. So I think it's very important to have this courage to stick to the plans that we have and to be sure that we don't lose megawatts from the energy system without putting anything in place to replace them. I would say that after the accession to the EU, we are fighting against the same ideas. We still have this obsession of controlling the price. We still don't have a functioning market, this view that is very autarkic and statist. I think these are tendencies that don't have to be the present anymore, not to talk about the future. Today, Romania is really engaged in this phasing out of the coal and has natural gas at the core of the transformation of the energy system. We are timidly integrating renewable energy sources. I think it's a pity that we had so many European funds that we didn't manage to transform into projects. We still have huge delays in this area. And I don't want to seem very pessimistic, because there were some good things that happened as well. And I'm looking at prosumers. We had a boom of prosumers in Romania, and we are in the European statistics with the solar capacities installed due to prosumers. We have to be really clear about this. So I think the future could look better, and if we understand that we are going more and more from a centralized energy system to a decentralized energy system, if the entire energy system understands from the transport of energy to the distribution and so on and so forth, that we need to accommodate these prosumers, and also to accommodate this new outlook of the energy system. I think this is possible with the investments, with more stability, predictability, with the legislation that doesn't change every 6 months or 1 year. I think we can do more, and we can do more to modernize even more quickly the energy system, as we've seen it for tens of years. But I would like also to add that if we don't get rid of this mentality that the state should always control the prices, should always be in the market, should always interfere with the competition, I think that we will make one step forward and two backwards every time, and will not have a strong and resilient energy system. The future looks good, but we need to stick to the plans, and to understand that we are in a European market, integrated market, and to have predictable rules, so that the investments can happen, because we can't have a good and resilient energy system without investments.
Thank you for the broad overview, but I will go back to this idea of the plan. Did Romania has a plan? Because, well, we have seen a lot of lack of predictability in terms of the legislative framework in the last years, and is this because of the lack of a plan, or is just our tendency to react to what is happening?
Well, I think if you are maybe referring to the energy strategy or plans in general.
I mean, like a plan in general, but for the energy sector, yes, it will.
I think we had several strategies, drafts. We have this national integrated plan for energy and climate change. I think we do not lack plans. The problem is when we have to implement them. And also when you make too many plans, then you are not connected anymore to what's happening in the market. I believe in the power of the market. Of course, there have to be rules as well, and the different actors in the market have to follow those rules. But you cannot plan everything from the Ministry of Energy or from the government. Sometimes you just have to let things happen. And I was giving you the example of prosumers. I think this is an area where there were the state created a framework where people were really incentivized and free to develop this kind of energy capacities, very decentralized and quite small. So I think we need to look at how we can get more integrated with the EU single market, even in terms of energy markets. Of course, we need to look at the European legislation and to transpose those directives, but we are in a different era right now. We are talking about some reforms and alignment before 2007. Now we don't have to have this obsession every time of transposing directives. I think this should be something that comes naturally, because we are a member of the European Union. We want to be connected with the market, and it's not like from Brussels something comes up and we are very surprised and we don't know what to do. And this happens also when you have politicians that act with fear every time and at the last moment, and they don't have an outlook of what's coming up next and how to predict what will happen, rather than just, let's say, something is coming from Brussels and we need to see how we get some, we find some turnaround so that we don't really implement that. I'm not saying that we need to take it 100% how it comes, but I think we need to establish and to be more brave here in Romania in terms of understanding how the energy system works. And there are a lot of things that we still need to do, and I made the list actually of the things that should happen and didn't yet. So we still don't have this guarantees of origin, right? So we are the only country in the European Union who didn't implement them, and if we look at the Ministry of Energy, at the regulator, they say, of course, we need to do it, but we don't see a clear plan and to see that things are moving faster. Again, I'm coming to the liberalization of the energy market. It is important. I know I'm the politician who obsessively says this every time has a mic, but we don't have to just, as I said before, we are saying that we are doing it, but then when we have to do it, I don't know, the government says, oh, but it affects the inflation and we need to keep it for one more year. And this also shows that people don't understand what is the link between energy prices and inflation. Inflation doesn't come only from energy prices; it comes from the debt and how the government understands that they should manage the public finances. So yeah. Also, we decided. I want to give you another recent example. We decided that we should have an offshore wind law, and it's good. We adopted it. We had some small debates in the parliament about this legislation. The ministry worked on this legislation. The parliament worked on the legislation. Is adopted, but we did the same mistakes that we did before. We don't have an integrated spatial maritime plan with Bulgaria. And we saw that for Neptune Deep, there are some environmental problems right now. So we were not able to learn from the previous mistakes. And now we have the offshore wind legislation with some terms in some studies that should be done. And we are looking at it, and we still don't have a clear overview of what's going to happen, given the fact that we didn't have an integrated approach with Bulgaria. I think there's this endless discussion of the modification of the energy law, and this has to stop. We can't modify every time the energy law. Let's just have I don't know, let's have a list of 5, 10 points that we need to modify. We modify them, and let's have 2, 3, 4, 5 years where we don't modify the energy legislation, because this is not sending a good signal to the market, to the investors, and this has to stop. I was asking before about the energy strategy versus the national energy and climate plans. We don't have this national energy and climate plan approved, but now we are talking about an energy strategy. We don't really know if these two align. Of course, the energy ministry is saying that they are aligned, but let me not believe this 100%. And I think we are doing too many things, but not focus on what's the most important. In my opinion, the most important was this National Energy and Climate Plan to be approved, to have some clear pathways, and then we can see, we could have seen if another energy strategy was needed or not. Then, and this is the last thing I will add, the CFD scheme, also here we see this price of 90 euros per megawatt hour, whereas in the region we see that a decent PPA is somewhere around 60 euros per megawatt hour, which shows, again, a big discrepancy between the market and what is happening at the Ministry of Energy. So these are a few things that need to stop or to be modified or understood by the real decision makers, so that we can go forward with the energy system and with the investment that we need in Romania.
Okay, thank you. So what I understand is that if we, as a country, assume some objectives, so critical objectives, we should stay to them, to stick to them, and try not to constantly change the legislation in order for the investors to have predictability. I will go now to Mrs. Alina Popa, because this with the legislative unpredictability is like I think it goes well with the topic that we will discuss, and I would like to ask you, what were the main challenges for developing the Neptune Deep project in the Black Sea, so for Romania to develop the natural gas resources, especially given the recent context with the energy crisis and heightened targets from the REPowerEU plan?
Thank you very much for the question, and I'm very happy to be here. First of all, happy anniversary to EPG. Radu, you achieved a lot. I was just congratulating you. You achieved a lot. I'm really impressed for the last 10 years. Congratulations and happy anniversary. And I'm very happy to be here. No? Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the Neptune question as well. For us, Neptune is a strategic project. We believe it's a strategic project for Romania and for the region. It contributes to the security of supply in the region, also to Romanian energy independence, and has an important economic contribution to the overall Romanian economy. So it's a very important one. We worked very hard for this project. It's like a child that was born with big efforts. So very hard over many years. And of course, looking back, clearly we have some lessons learned from this journey. But a bit the story of Neptun, maybe not all of you remember it exactly. So everything started back in 2008 with a partnership between OMV Petrom and ExxonMobil, 50-50 joint venture. We started working together and doing seismic studies in the Black Sea, and followed by drilling. And then we had the first discovery in 2011, Domino 1 well discovery. So this is the beginning of the journey. After that, we continue with drilling, we continue with working, and also we engaged with the Romanian authorities in developing the framework, regulatory fiscal framework to develop such a big project, long-term project. So we worked very hard and we started working on a law called offshore law until 2018. 2018, quite fast and without proper consultation, the law has been adopted in a form that was not enabling the final investment decision at that time. It was later on amended, worked on it and amended up to 2022, May 2022, when this law was in the form that exists today. In this time frame, what we saw was also a change in title holders. Exxon sold. Romgaz became our partner in 2022, mid of 2022, and we finally managed to take the final investment decision in June 2023. Approximately 4 or 5 years later than originally planned. We always asked and advocated for stability, predictability, competitiveness of the fiscal and regulatory regime. I think we said this so many times along this journey. It's a big project, more than up to 4 billion euros, only the development phase. But if we also add what we spent up to final investment decision, that is more than 1.5 billion euro, both partners for 100% of the project. So huge investment, which require predictability and stability. Otherwise, it's just not possible from economic point of view to sanction such a project. Looking into the future, since the final investment decision, the project is doing well. So we awarded more than 80% of the projects. We are working very well on all the necessary activities, permitting and so on. Important milestone 2025 will be drilling, and the most important one is the first gas 2027. So, yeah, like I said, a child that was born in a very difficult way, but finally we hope to see this come into reality.
But in terms of missed opportunities, because we haven't succeeded to develop the project until now, and currently we have this accelerated decarbonization target, what do you consider to be the main missed opportunities during this time frame?
Yes. I mean, if I imagine and think back and imagine what would have been if this project would have been, development would have started in 2018 and having first gas in 2022 to have Neptun would have been just amazing for Romania from economic point of view, from strategic point of view. It's hard as a Romanian citizen just to realize, okay, what missed opportunity we had there. And I remember many discussions we had, and we were signaling that this is a huge opportunity. Let's not let the train leave the station. Let's have it. But we cannot change the past. We can only change the future. So I'm a big believer in learning from what happened, and not to do these mistakes again. It's all up to cooperation between the state and the industry, win-win principle, and I really hope to see this coming. Now, yes, we as a company, we have a strategy now of transformation for a lower carbon future, and like any strategy, we start by looking at the demand. We see the demand for traditional, for gasoline, diesel, but also gas growing still until 2030. And after 2030 coming down towards 2040. For gas, we see a peak somewhere 2034, 2035, and then coming down towards 2040. So we see decarbonization coming clearly to reality and net zero rather towards 2050. So we still see the Neptune being an important part. And in this journey, Neptune gas, it's the production process of Neptune gas. It's by comparison with many other projects globally, it's quite good from the environmental point of view. So the GHG emissions are approximately 2 kilograms of CO2 per barrel versus 16 kilograms of CO2 per barrel for an average global offshore gas project. So it's a project with small impact on the environment in the production process, which is very important. And clearly we are working in the same time with full speed towards energy transition and decarbonization.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, considering it is interesting how you mentioned the evolution, like from 2030 to 2035, an increase, and then downwards from 2035. Because if we look at the National Energy and Climate Plan, we will see there's some new capacities on gas, some CCGTs that, according to the document, as of 2036, they will switch to hydrogen. So it will be interesting to see the demand from that point of view. But, well, we have done recently a modeling exercise with an institute from Hungary, REC, and according to the results, we can have a decarbonized power sector by 2040. Well, and the EU ETS, considering the EU ETS changes and with stricter rules for decarbonization, this is the path that we are envisaging. Thank you. And I would like to ask you, Mr. Dugulan, a little bit on because we have seen the gas path presented, and both in the past 10 years, but also a forward-looking. What about renewables? And I'm talking about wind and PVs, because if we look back to the last 10 years, we haven't seen increased capacities. So only recently with the prosumers, what Mrs. Prună mentioned, but what happened and what were the challenges in the last 10 years for RES developments in Romania?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. Congratulations to EPG for the 10-year anniversary. In what concerns renewable energy in Romania, I would say some key words are already mentioned here. Predictability, I think, is one of the main drivers of any economical decision that an investor would make. So I would say that this is something that contributed heavily on having this gap of investments in what concerns the renewable energy. I personally come with a vision that maybe it's somehow biased. Like somebody when visits a far relative and saws that the kids grew. Yeah, I've been out of Romania like 9 years, so I'm coming back to this second wave of development, and I would say that what I encountered it's a more educated market. But then not many things have been learned. So we know more about the technology, how things are done, business models. Everybody knows exactly how things should be done. But then on some points that have contributed to that stall in development and in growth of renewable energies, we see them back. Like just to give an example, these megawatts in development. Everybody is developing, everybody has a connection point somewhere, and then this definitely is creating uncertainty in the market, because you have 10 projects waiting for the same connection point. You don't know exactly who is going to enter and what kind of risk are you taking developing in the same area. Just to give an example, things like this happened in the past. So that's why I'm saying not many things were learned, but definitely we got educated ourselves about how renewables work and how the business model should be implemented. For the future, on the other hand, I do believe that there is more openness also from the authorities to collaborate with the companies. And I have seen in the past 8 months, to say so, a lot of requests to have an opinion on different pieces of legislation or the different changes. So this is something that I do believe is going to contribute to a more sustainable development of renewable energy in Romania for the future, because we need also this sustainable development. We got used to these bubbles, everything in the economy, and I do think for Eastern Europe is something very particular, is developed in a bubble. We have the real estate bubble, we have the renewable energy bubble, everything is in a bubble. And at some point we are going to pay the debt on staying in these bubbles, because if we do not have a long-term view of the sector of energy in Romania, the power plants that were developed 10, 12 years ago are going to enter in repowering or are going to be decommissioned. Now we are developing another bubble, but what we are going to do with that gap that was not developed when we are going to need energy? So we need to have a more sustainable view on how the deployment of new capacities for renewable energy, but also mentioning storage, which I do think is now 100% related with renewable implementation, has to be taken in consideration. We have our own intention to further grow and to install more capacity as PPC Renewables, and we know for sure that others are joining this effort to contribute to achieving Romania's renewable target in a sustainable way and in a way in which can serve the people and the consumer.
Okay, thank you. And I think that the recent changes to the Renewable Energy Directive with the acceleration areas for us will further contribute with this to this development. I will go now to Mrs. Dana Raluca Daraban. So, in the last 10 years, I think that the utilities company has faced several challenges with the, let's say, market liberalization on one side, and then the energy crisis with price caps, but also when you look at the distribution systems with the obligation to extend the grid, but also kind of an obligation to modernize and digitalize and adapt to the new challenges. What do you think about this? And if you can summarize the main challenges in the last 10 years.
Thank you very much, and congrats, EPG. I think it's the type of work you do is what we need for what we are all hoping, some decision based on data, information, assessments. So we are somehow on the business environment counting a lot on your team, and we are hoping that at one day, I hope sooner than the decision-making process will take very serious the assessments and data you put on the market. So congrats.
Thank you.
Regarding the last 10 years, I will try to look back to the last 10 years. I will, let's say, not talk about what Alina mentioned, a project that somehow, by luck, I was too involved, and I still feel like Romania lost a greater opportunity. I'm not sure if we can make it up, but at least we can at least bring this gas on the market and use it because it's a necessity if we want to monetize and finally implement what we are keep talking about, gas as a transition fuel. So from this point of view, as long as this gas is not on the market, we cannot use it. So the sooner we'll be on the market, I think will be the best for us. So I'm not going to talk more about this, but I had to mention it. Looking now to what I'm trying to help two significant industries and with an important role on the energy chain, supply and distribution. I have to say that somehow I got again in the middle of, let's say, things, storming. Usually I get involved in these type of situations. And I will start by, yes, liberalization have been completed. It's not that liberalization happened on the 2021. The process was a long process and it was just a completion of this process. Unfortunately, it overlapped with energy crisis that actually hit it very badly, not only Romania, other markets, more mature markets. Now, if we look to the way how the decision makers, let's say, considered appropriate to approach this situation, of course, it's not a way to do it. But because we are still working only with one case, I mean, this optimistic scenario that everything will be okay, and if something will happen, we will see it, because this is unfortunately the approach. They acted in a short period of time, and they tried to take a decision that it was, let's say, limiting the political damage. Still, this type of decision created a lot of damage on some energy sectors, and here I'm going to mention only the suppliers that are still recovering and in the process to getting ready to play on a more competitive market, starting with 2025, hopefully. We need to make sure that the suppliers are somehow financially healthy, and because it's the only way that you can ensure a real competition. And you need a real competition if you want a competitive price. Because yes, we are supporters of free market, but free market with rules that ensure a fair game for everybody. I think we had a couple of things to learn from what happened in the energy crisis. Some, of course, as I said, hit everybody, but some risks came out from some specific situations. And if I may, I'll mention one element that I hope that starting with 2025, we will see a different game. We do not have a real competition on the part of production. We do not have a real competition on markets. We don't have a real activity on trading, so it's not so much option in the terms of buying energy. On the distribution side, of course, if I'm moving now, here it's a different type of story. We are talking about something that everybody realized a bit too late, especially at the EU level, that all the plans we have in terms of putting new renewable sources on the market will be in vain if we do not have the investments in the distribution. And of course, because we realize a bit late, we have to speed it up, and speeding it means a lot of money. Distributors are very much counting on the regulatory frame. connecting past with future, decisions like we decide by law that a specific category, or I don't know, more or less categories of customers will benefit from gratuity of connections are not going to help. So we are really hoping that situations like that we are not going to see in future. We have to acknowledge that connecting very quick lots of energy resources, modernizing the renewable resources, modernizing the infrastructure, changing the infrastructure, digitalization of the infrastructure, the new role of the distributors, because they are not anymore, they are moving from an operator that is actually more managing energy flow. Now, in future, they will have to manage big data. They will have to invest in digitalization. They will have to have different type of activities in order to ensure what we need for achieving the targets we have on the process of decarbonization. Regarding another point, consistency. I heard Alina talking about some estimation on the evolution of the consumption of the gas. I have to say that the second on third actually, because it's production, transportation and distributors. On the distributor side of gas, this information is not somehow, let's say, anticipated, because again, we are playing with regulatory frame, and what we see on the regulation right now in place, we see a type of inconsistency. For example, no European funds are available for operators, distributors on gas. It's very hard to believe that you will manage to ensure all the money you need to convert the existing infrastructure, and we have 50,000 kilometers of the gas infrastructure in the ground. Depends on us if we want to use it somehow. It's very hard to believe that you can convert this infrastructure to what you need in order to transport hydrogen only with private money. So we would like to see at the level of authorities a bit of more consistency from one institution to another. Probably the energy strategy will bring these informations on the market, but still this information will be necessary to be used by other institutions like Ministry of European Funds. So just to summarize, regulatory frame shall not anymore play with, let's say, concepts like price control and controlling the market. Probably a type of regulation that will ensure fair game and rules for everybody needs to be anticipated. I would like to see some lesson learned from the crisis, and probably on the 2025, the issues, local issues, to be addressed accordingly. And in terms of the strategy for developing the infrastructure, the distributors, the investment plans that the distributors have to put on the table, for this, everything will depend on the regulation. So if the regulation will encourage investments, I'm sure that we will see the investments. If the regulation will be punitive, we are not going to see this happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you a lot to all of you. Well, one of the conclusions that I take from this discussion is also the misalignment within strategic actions because, well, we have just started the project, the Neptune Deep, but still we don't see a clear forecast on what will happen with that gas. Maybe we will be a regional security of energy supplier. So also we will look at the Balkans from this point of view, because and also this national hydrogen strategy and what will happen from a hydrogen point of view. There is a misalignment that should be corrected in the following period. I think that we have 5 minutes for questions, 5 to 7 minutes from, okay, good, yeah. We have a question. Please state your name, the organization you are representing. One of my colleagues will support you with the microphone. So I'm kindly asking you to say your name, the organization you are representing, the question, and then the person from the panel that you are addressing. Thank you, Mrs.
Okay, Christian Egenhofer from European University Institute in Florence and CEPS, and a very proud member of the EPG Advisory Committee. Julian Popov was raising a challenge to you and saying natural gas is not a transition fuel, and many countries have said it is, and it didn't happen. That doesn't mean it does not need to happen, but so far we haven't seen it. I just wanted to ask the panel, Petrom, but all the others as well, how they see, what makes them confident, if so, that gas is the transition fuel.
So,
thank you very much for the question. Indeed, there are many scenarios possible, clearly, and we are looking, whenever we decide anything related to our strategy, of many scenarios, so it's not just one. But all in all, we believe that demand for gas it's still there for a while. We believe in the role of gas in the balancing market. So we see it for a while. It's it was really the last train for Neptune. If it would have been even further delayed, would have been too late. But Neptune coming on stream 2027 clearly, and having 8 to 10 years plateau, this will be clearly required by the market. So we see it as gas as a transition fuel, but we work in the same time with all our speed on the transformation to the green projects as well. So we have really in our strategy a lot of efforts into transforming the company for a green future.
Well, I would say that this is why we need to have a market and consolidate the market, because it will tell us if gas is a transition fuel or not. We think that given the resources that we have in Romania, gas is naturally a transition fuel, but the market will tell us.
I think that you have two responses. If any other panelists would like to say something, or if there are other questions from the public, we still have time for one. No? Other? Oh, okay, please.
Hello, Lucian Bondok, Bondok Asociații. Thank you very much for your interventions. I'm very interested in understanding your main explanation for the high prices of energy in Romania versus other markets, and what would be your main thing that you would do for those to actually go down or compared to the neighboring markets. Thank you.
And I think.
I don't think it's one answer that can justify. Always when we're speaking about prices, there are several components that have to be taken in consideration. From the generation standpoint, we do believe that that part of predictability that I was mentioning at the beginning, all the risks usually convert itself in something that has to be to do with price, but also some costs that you have to take into consideration at the moment of construction. I would say that this would be also one observation that I've made during this short period since I've been back to Romania. We are focusing a lot on the development, but we have to understand also what is the ecosystem in which we are moving toward having, construction companies that are more competitive, or the way in which we supply the equipment, what kind of environment creates in the end the project as a power plant and generates the energy. So if we manage to optimize the whole value chain, definitely also we are going to see it reflected in the prices. And the competitive part that definitely has to be improved, or to see how we can better create a competitive environment.
I still have time for a short answer? Yes. So from my perspective, prices are always an outcome of supply and demand. And what we shall do, we shall invest to increase the supply. Yeah? And this is what we are doing. We are investing significantly in the energy sector in Romania, and this will increase the supply of energy, which should ultimately have an impact on prices.
Because we have this time constraint, I would like to thank you distinguished panelists, for your insights. Thank you for your questions and for your time. And we will have a 10 minutes break until 11:50, and looking forward to the second panel moderated by my colleague Luciana Miu, Head of Clean Economy. Thank you. Thank you.